Shalom, shalom. Call halal Yahweh Shem Yahushua Ba'Shem Kakadash. Double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone. Salutations to the elect throughout the four corners. It's a lot here for allergies fucking with me. But I want to drop, the spiritual aspect. Look, as brothers know, some brothers don't know, but I came from New Jersey. I'm in the Baltimore area right now, which is really not too far. It's not like a major distance, but it is another total different area. Because if you know about the Northeast, everything really congested. Even like where I was at, Jersey, North New Jersey, and Brooklyn, New York is only probably like 10 miles away, but it's viewed as two total different worlds. You know what I mean? Or Staten Island and the Bronx. You know what I mean? That's like, could be like 15, 20 miles away, but it's considered two total different worlds. People got different slangs and everything, but very similar in many ways. But I want to touch on Jacob. I was meditating about Jacob's journey and his travel. Salakia, my allergies, early Sunday morning. My allergies is like fucking with me. I try to keep them under control, but I ain't want that to hinder me from doing a video, and I keep putting it off. So I'm gonna try to push through with this, Salakia, for the noise, and try to still retain the food from the spirit. So Salakia again for that. But yeah, so Jacob's journey, I'm gonna go into it. It's just like a couple of chapters. It's a lot to elaborate on when you spiritually look at it, but I'll try to touch on it and go over it and tie it in to the spirit of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, how he worked and how he deal with our forefather. So I got it right now in the G&T. You know what I mean? Just because that old English sometimes trip a lot of people up. And people that's not really used to dealing with it. So I noticed when you reading in like story form, like a novel and events, sometimes like other translations could be better than the old KJV, especially the 1611 with the U's as V's and the I's as J's and so on. But I'm gonna start it off right here. Genesis 29 and 1. So just to give a little insight, I don't want to jump too far back. Jacob, he supplanted Esau for his birthright and blessing, and that's his name. Jacob, it means supplanter. So he was like a slickster. He got over on Esau, for his blessing and his birthright. So Esau actually got pissed off, like, yo, when my father died, I'm gonna slay my brother Jacob. So what they wound up doing was like removing Jacob from, this on the surface level, right? They moved Jacob from the land where he was at with his mother and father and moved him over there with his uncle Laban, right? And a lot happened and a lot transpired from when he actually moved there, he got over there, and when he actually left. And we could take a whole lot from that and apply it to our own lives, right? So you got the scriptures like law, statutes, and commandments. You got prophecies, and you got events that took place. Like the Lord dealing with David and various of our ancestors that we could take, And the scriptures tell you in Ezekiel 24:24, Ezekiel is unto you as a sign. All that he done, you shall do. But you take that, we all got our own personal hell cut out, but all our forefathers is also a sign from the Lord. But it says, Jacob continued on his way and went towards the land of the east. Suddenly he came upon a well of the fields and 3 flocks of the sheep laying around it. I'm going to try to speed through this, right? Um, the flocks were scattered from the well, which had a large stone over the opening. Whenever all the flocks came together there, the shepherds would roll the stone back and water them, and they would put the stone back in place. Jacob asked the shepherd, "My friends, who are you?" Like, I try to be a little enthusiastic. And Jacob asked the shepherd, "My friends, who are you?" "From Haran," they answered. He, he asked, "Do you know Laban, grandson of Nahor?" "Yes, we do," they answered. "Is he well?" he asked. "He is well. Look over there. Look over here comes his daughter Rachel with his flock." Jacob said, "Since it is still broad daylight and not yet time to bring the flocks in, why don't you water them and take them back to the pasture?" So basically, this Jacob was a slickster. Basically, he wanted to be alone with Rachel. You know what I mean? Because he saw how beautiful and pretty she was. And yo, this a heads up. Like, you can't really like talk to a girl, a beautiful woman, or try to push up on her with your homeboys. That shit going, she probably, a woman period, they probably like fray away. I see it happen all the time. Know what I mean? Or normally if a beautiful woman around and you try to get her, normally people will start cock blocking. You know, and that's kind of show you right there that's human nature. So Jacob did like a wise thing. He kind of booby trapped them. Like, yo, just water these ones right here and take them back. Like, why like sit and wait? Right? They answered, "We can't do that until all the flocks are here and the stone has been rolled back, and then we water the flocks." While Jacob was still talking with them, Rachel arrived with the flocks. When Jacob saw that Salakia, Rachel was with his uncle Laban's flock, he went to the well and rolled the stone back and watered the sheep. So he helped forward the mission so they could take the flocks back. Then he kissed her and began to cry for joy, right? Because, you know, he beautiful. And hey, man, a beautiful woman could like boost up your self-esteem. In the Apocrypha, it tell you a man love nothing more than a beautiful woman. You know what I mean? He said he that don't have a wife will walk up and down the street mourning. You know, I'm just like roughly paraphrasing these scripts. You can always type it in, look up book, chapter, verse. But I just don't want to stretch the lesson out too much long. And when Jacob saw, he kissed her. Right, so you got to be straight up, straightforward when you dealing with approaching these women. You can't be like indirect, you know what I mean? So he kissed her and he cried for joy. Because like I said, a beautiful woman could boost your self-esteem. You know what I mean? And people give you props for being with her and so on. But if you got a butt ugly motherfucker, you know, most Jakes like beautiful women. And, you know, most Israelites women is average. But, you know, once they get dressed up, put a little makeup on, and they working out and taking care of themselves, normally, you know what I mean, you could adjust them to like a higher grade, whether they're a 6 or a 5. They could be an adjustable 6 or an adjustable 5. But, you know, these women today, man, the Lord punished them, made them fat, made them loud mouths, like nobody want to deal with them. You know what I mean? Even if they like claiming they in the truth, that's kind of like a red flag brothers look out for, because a lot of times that's like deception, or they came from other camps and passed around by other men. You know, I'm not gonna rush this, so what I'm gonna do is I'll probably finish this and break it up in parts. Kissed them. Okay, with joy, verse 12, 29 and 12. And he told her, "I am your father's relative, the son of Rebekah." She ran and tell her father, and when he when he heard the news about his nephew Jacob, he ran to meet him, hugged him and kissed him, and brought him into the house. And when Jacob told Laban everything that had happened, Laban said, "Yes, indeed, you are my own flesh and blood." Jacob stayed there a whole month. Laban said to Jacob, "You shouldn't work for me for nothing." So Laban was a slickster too. Matter of fact, he was like way slicker than Jacob, and he was unfair though. He was the type person that straight up take advantage of you. So in a sense, Jacob was like meeting his match, sort of in a sense, because Laban offered a favor, knowing like, look, should you work for me for nothing? Because he seen how he worked, and he wanted to keep him. So he like, yo, I could really be prosperous, you know what I mean, from this dude. How much pay do you want? Laban had two daughters. The older one was Leah, the younger one was Rachel. Leah had lovely eyes, but Rachel was shapely and beautiful. So it's, and you got a woman with a figure, shit, man. You know what I mean? Like, she take care of herself. Or some woman is just like naturally shaped, and she look good. Shit. You know what I mean? So, like dudes, and it's true, we gotta have dick discipline. You know what I mean? You gotta have self-control, mortify your members. But like, hey man, as a young man, you that shit, like, yo, damn, like, shit. Damn, she look good. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause we men, man, we ain't no like homos and shit, So like, if you could like, cause normally, a woman might have tits but no ass. She might have ass but no tits. Or she might have ass and tits, but she ugly as hell in the face. I seen women like that. She like a 4 or a 3 in the face. But when you drop down low, you be like, God damn, woo, shit. Let me holler at you. I mean, normally they probably shit on you. You ain't look up the par, pulling up in something or whatever. But or you might get it. I don't know. Try your luck. Shoot your shot, like they say. But Leah, they said she was tender-eyed. When you go into that word, it means like she was like cross-eyed or like cock-eyed. She wasn't blessed with the beauty like Rachel was, right? And Jacob was in love with Rachel, so he said, "I will work 7 years for you if you let me marry Rachel." Right? Ah, shit. Trying to Salakia. And Laban answered, "I will rather give her to you than anyone else stay here with me." Jacob worked 7 years so that he could have Rachel, and the time seemed like only a few days to him because he loved her. Right? And that drive was there. Right? So just setting up the patriarch Israel, but Jacob ain't knowing he's gonna go to this land where his people's at. And a lot of times, like, you leave from where you at, your comfort zone, and you come into another land. You might know like brothers there, and that's the beautiful thing about this truth. You might have brothers that live there, or or family members, or you might just go there like blindly. But normally, like, you have some type of connection, and what he was able to meet like his wife of his kids. Now today in society, you gotta like be careful with that. That could really be a booby trap from Satan. These women was from his uncle. They was brought up in a certain order. They was virgins. You know what I'm saying, and so on. So he had like a structure. You know what I mean, or upbringing. Or a brother might put you D on his cousin, or hook you up with like, you know what I'm saying, something like that. And before you know it, you in this land now, you in this new area. You might be in Atlanta. You might move to Toledo or fucking Cleveland, or you might be in New York. You might move to Texas, or fucking you might be in California and you move to New York, etc., etc. And And these are the things, you know, the Lord could possibly do to like keep you there for a while or have you stay. Because trust me, if you run across a woman and she's fine enough and y'all hit it off, trust me, my brother, more than likely you gonna be in that land for a nice little bit. And whatever brothers in that land or in that area, get used to them because that's your new spiritual family. You know what I mean? Sort of saying shit. You know? So but Jacob's situation was a little different, but I know brothers that happened to. But it's funny like how the Lord, you know, transpired, because we are Jacob. We are the seed of Jacob, the Israelites. So be looking at our forefather, the patriot, and see how the Lord worked with him and comparing it to our lives or brothers that we know lives, right? And work to get Rachel. Oh, okay. Then Jacob said to Laban, "The time is up. Let me marry your daughter." So Laban gave a wedding feast and invited everyone. But that night, instead of Rachel, he took Leah to Jacob, and Jacob had intercourse with her. Laban gave his slave woman Zipporah to his daughter Leah as her maid, her handmaid. Not until the next morning did Jacob discover that it was Leah. He went to Laban and said, "Why did you do this to me? I worked to get Rachel while you have tricked me," right? So now Jacob, now you got to look at this. You like, how come he didn't notice it was Rachel? You know what I mean? Two, one, he probably was drunk as hell. You know, he probably was sauced down from the wedding feast. And two, they probably veiled up the bride and covered her face. They probably been the same complexion. But if you sauce down like that, trust me, bro, I know like when you get wasted like that, you don't be knowing what the fuck happened like the next day. You know, you just know you smashed some chick, like, yo, I don't even know like what she looked like. Yo, brothers gotta tell you, or your friends from the world, yo, you was wilding yesterday. We had to like you like, how I end up here? Like, you know what I mean? You don't remember some of the things you did. They tell you in First Ezra, the 3rd chapter, about when you overdrink, and Sirach, also 31st chapter. I ain't gonna pull it up though, cause that's a lot about drinking. That's another lesson. But Rachel Salakia. I took my eyes off of the verse I was on. Okay. Laban answered, "It is not the custom here to give the younger daughter in marriage before the older. Wait until the week's marriage celebration are over, and I will give you Rachel if you work for me another 7 years." So now Jacob is getting a taste of like his own medicine. Even though it was set up from the Lord that he supplant Esau, because he had to be the chosen child as far as the birthright and blessing, so everything could get passed to the 12 sons, which are the 12 tribes today, which are you Negroes, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, which is about to inherit the kingdom, the blessing he promised to Abraham on down through the patriots, right? But however, he was crafty, he was deceptive, and he fucked Esau over. So now Jacob is finally feeling like to know what it's like to deal with a slickster, like that karma, so to say, is coming back. He know what it's like to deal with like a slickster. He now know what it feel like to get cheated and to get over on, and the Lord would do that to you. You know what I mean? Like he'll give you, if you this type person or you a carnal person, he'll bring somebody past you that'll match your energy or be a bigger, more of a bigger slickster or person you was. and give you a taste of your own medicine and teach you a lesson, right? So this all set up through the spirit anyway, but you could look at it and take little Jews from it. So Laban liked how he worked, so he like, man, I'm gonna squeeze the shit out of him. I'm gonna keep him on the plantation, and I'm gonna work the shit out of him. I know he like my daughter. I'm gonna use that as I'm gonna dangle the carrot, so to say, and work the shit out of him and up my business. You know, my sheep, my flock, my herds. You know, I'm gonna up my business, and you know, I'm gonna get become prosperous off this fucking dude. Like, you know what I mean? And you know, if you know about workers, you know, some brothers got businesses and so on. One thing that'll tell whether your business stay alive or fail is what type of fucking workers you got. You got loyal workers that come to work every day, that don't call out, that go the extra mile, they ain't stealing from you, they ain't trying to sue you and shit like that. Man, that's golden. That's golden. You know, why do you think they do interviews and all that to see, like, call for your references and all that? See what type person you are. See, have you stolen before? Or if you got criminal record and shit like that. I mean, that's neither here or there. But I'm not saying you could be a bad person because of these things. But the point is to have, like, a loyal worker that's prosperous, that's bringing you money and bread, and your business is booming. Everybody like him. You ain't trying to have that fucking dude leave. That's the last thing you want that dude to do is leave. You know what I mean? You trying to keep him around. When the Lord saw that it was Leah, not the when the Lord saw that okay, he worked another 7 years, verse 31. And when the Lord saw that Leah was loved less than Rachel, he made it possible for her to have children, but Rachel remained childless. Leah became pregnant and gave birth to a son. She said, Lord has seen my trouble. Salakia, that shit kept bookmarking. I got it. The Lord has seen my trouble, and now my husband will love me. And so she named him Reuben, or right? And she became pregnant again and gave birth to another son. So that also teaches you too that you get with a woman and she feel as though like you not really into her like that. She would try to have your baby and now today they call it trap babies. They do it out of the same cause, and that show you like nothing new under the sun. They do it out of like the same cause. Like, like I got with chicks, like I don't have kids or children, right? And I meet chicks or whatever, they be like, oh, you don't have kids, and they try to trap me. Like a couple chicks tried that shit, they failed though. And all praises to Yahweh Hashem Yahushua for that. And a lot of them be like, yo, I want to get access to your resources, or I want you to love me. You know what I mean? They think like, you know, if I give you a baby, I give you a son, you'll be drawn to me more. You know, and that's not necessarily the case. And a lot of times, like, they're threatening to put you on child support. They're threatening alimony if you marry them and so on. And that's why Jake said, like, it's cheaper to keep her, because it's like, yo, if I was to get rid of this bitch, I'm a face like a major loss. Like, yo, I just might as well stay with her. And that's a form of slavery. You know what I'm saying? But back then they didn't have all that court shit and all that. But that was her way of like, yo, and you know, that's the greatest gift a woman could give a man is a healthy child. You know? That's why me particularly, I don't really be off of that stepdad shit. You know, because that's a whole nother topic. But Some brothers do, but you know, I really don't recommend it, especially from personal experiences. But one of the greatest gifts like a woman could give a man is a healthy child, especially a son, where he could pass on his name and pass on his legacy and lineage. But affliction heard, right? The second son was Simeon, verse 34. Once again, she became pregnant and gave birth to the third son. Now my husband will be tightly unto me, lawyer, joined unto me, Levi, right? And there was the priesthood, and they dealt with the law, right? And that's where you get the word lawyer today from, where you be like, yo, man, I'm going to hire me a lawyer, because the lawyers deal with the laws. And the Levites, the priesthood, they deal with the ceremonies, the services, the sacrifices, and so on. A little, like, inside note. But, lawyer, Levi, right? And she became pregnant again, gave birth to another son. She said, this time, praise the Lord. And she named his name Judah Yahweh, and she stopped having children. Right, so she gave him 4 sons. And really, through the spirit, when you look at that, the Lord deals with the underdog. We know that. But when you really check it out, Rachel, being a beautiful woman, she was more, and she felt entitled more than Leah. That's another reason why the Lord did it. As we read on, you're going to see it. And that's one thing about hot chicks, like beautiful women. Like, they more of a headache to deal with. I mean, they look good on your arm, and they more lazy too. You know what I mean? Cause they fine as hell. So that it's something called pretty privilege. You know what I mean? And that have always existed. You know what I mean? So, and that's just, and we gotta remember, uh, Rachel, she had the face and the ass and tits and the body. You know what I mean? So, you know, you got a woman that feel entitled with just the body, or a woman that feel entitled with just the face, or she just got ass, that's it. But she was like a total package. You know, what probably called like a dime. You know what I mean? Brothers talk about dimes. You ain't seen no motherfucking dimes. The real dimes is in the kingdom. The most I give a chick today is an 8. Or like an adjustable 6. You know what I mean? But like, even like a 9 is like, you know what I mean? No makeup, a straight up 9, like that shit is like rare, especially in America where everybody blowing up, becoming obese and all that. Like, but you'd be lucky if you see an 8. You know what I mean? I call these chicks 49ers. You know what I mean? Like the football team. Because they be a 4 in the face and in the body, but they act and behave like they're a 9. So I say like these 49ers and shit like that. I call them 49ers. You know, you might hear brothers like say that or joke around. Right. Okay. That's chapter 29. So I'm going to stop here. That's the end of 29. Yeah, I'm going to stop here and pick up on 30. I might make it private and just release it all at once. Or I might just load it up. I don't know. Let's see how the spirit go. But I'm going to stop here for y'all brothers and pick up on 30. A few things important to meditate on right here.